sports.
Can't come to Arizona without a stroll in the desert. The Diamondbacks and the Marlins finishing off this 3-game series. Stroll on in to Chase Field with us, where it's nice and cool. AC, don't you know? Little Marlins love tonight. Oh, the JT Real Muto fan club is here. And why not? JT Real Muto working with Jose Fernandez. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. The Miami Marlins have a chance to win a series. That's big news for a ball club that has been struggling. A nice win last night, and they've got Jose on the mound. Feels like momentum right now.
You know, it was one of those games last night, Rich. Everything kind of came together. Terrific pitching, certainly, from Matt Latos. Key base hits, Echeverria, the big home run by Morse. So it was one of those games. Things came together. You want to see that continue tonight.
You also want to see Jose Fernandez have success on the road. He's been brilliant, incredibly brilliant, historic at home. On the road, his last start, he pitched well in Philly, saved that one blip in the 6th inning.
Well, he threw only 70 pitches, and he certainly could have gone a little bit more. He has had a start here at Chase Field before. He lost 3-1, but he pitched very well. 7 1/3 innings, gave up just 3 hits, and had a couple of strikeouts in that game. So it's not like he pitched badly. So he has pitched here before, and he pitched a pretty good ball game.
Of course, Jose would have more road wins if the Marlins would score more road runs, and winning games on the road has been tough. A path to those road runs might be Michael Morse, who appeared last night and homered to right field.
Well, it'll be a nice test for some of the right-handed bats. Michael Morse in the lineup tonight, hit the home run last night, and that was good to see. His last 2 home runs have been on the road. All of his home runs have been on the road this year. The last 2 to the opposite field. He's had a little success against the Diamondbacks. Of course, with the Giants, he saw them more. But Michael Morse has hit 5 career home runs against Arizona.
Best batting average, best slugging percentage against lefties in the National League. It's the Marlins. They get a lefty tonight. Jose Fernandez makes start number 4. We will hear from Fernandez. Jessica Blaylock joins us in Arizona. Fish and snakes right around the bend. Diamondback mascot, get along just well. Working with Danny Echeverria, getting him stretched out. It's good to see. Let's go down to Jessica Blaylock. Jess?
Hey, Jose Fernandez making his 4th start of the year tonight, and he has been dominant up to this point with 21 strikeouts and an ERA of 2.37. I had a chance to catch up with Jose, and one of the things we talked about was how he's feeling about his stuff.
And I'm happy at where it's at. Obviously, I can always get it better, and that's what we work for in the, the 4 days between my next start. But I think there's always room to improve on something, and but I feel really confident in my stuff.
What do you feel like needs the biggest improvement at this point?
Everything, all of them. I can always try to get them all better, but I'm just happy to be healthy and happy to feel strong the way that I'm feeling.
Besides being away from Marlins Park, what's the biggest difference between playing at home versus playing on the road?
Right now it's like 106 degrees outside, so that's probably one of the biggest reasons difference. And I think the time changing is a little bit, messes with you sleep a little bit. But it's just part of the game that a lot of people don't think that. A lot of people think that's just going out there and pitch. It's not that easy. There's a lot of things that go into it. Hydrating yourself when it's 110 degrees outside, so it's really important.
Always good to see Jose Fernandez on the mound, especially when the Marlins have a chance to take the series. Speaking of, be sure to keep it right here. First pitch between the Marlins and the Diamondbacks is coming up. It is the finale of a 3-game series. Arizona took game 1, but the Marlins got the 3-0 shutout last night. First pitch coming up next on Fox Sports Florida.
Citro in the leadoff spot. Martin Prado second. Christian Yelich, a real nice run, a 7-game streak. Casey McGee at third. Michael Morse at first. JT Realmuto, the catcher. Cole Gillespie starts in center. And Danny Echeverria in the 8th spot. And Jose Fernandez is slotted 9th. Robbie Ray. First pitch fastball misses away. Pitch betting brings you that first pitch underway here in Phoenix. Ichiro 1 for 8 in the series. been manning the leadoff spot since D. Gordon has gone down. And he's been out in right field a lot since Giancarlo Stanton went down. 2-0 pitch is a strike.
Pretty good fastball from the 23-year-old left-hander. He's on a nice run for Arizona. 2 or fewer runs he's allowed in 7 of his 9 starts.
Ichiro fouls it off. Robbie Ray out of Brentwood, Tennessee, was a high school draft of the Detroit Tigers, or excuse me, of the Washington Nationals, then traded to the Detroit Tigers. Been involved in a couple of big deals. And he strikes out Ichiro with a live 94-mile-an-hour fastball.
As we've seen in this series, been a pretty good defense for the Diamondbacks. PFW brings you that defense. David Peralta, Ender Inciarte, Yasmani Tomas in that outfield. Lamb, Pennington, Owings, and Goldschmidt around the infield. Oscar Hernandez, kind of a late-minute addition. Wellington Castillo bothered with a little tightness in his hamstring.
Martin Prado now. A frustrating night at the plate for Prado last night. A fastball for a strike. Prado was 1 for 4, and he hit the ball hard in the hole between third and short twice. And both times he was robbed of hits. Jake Lamb made some nice plays. But here is Prado in the 2 spot with Yelich behind him. A lot of right-handed bats against this lefty. The Marlins very good against lefties. Prado shoots this one hard on the ground to Owings.
So Robbie Ray making his first ever appearance against the Marlins. So we'll check on the scouting report. Natural sink to a fastball we've seen at 95. He's already thrown that in this inning. Short, slurvy slider. And Rich mentioned drafted by the Nationals, traded from the Nationals to Detroit. He was involved in that Doug Fister deal. And then on to Arizona in a 3-team deal. So he's been involved in trades already, and he's only 23.
Yeah, the 3-team deal was Detroit, Arizona, and the Yankees. D.D. Gregorius, the biggest name that moved from Arizona in that deal. Here's Yelich, and you saw Yelich's hit streak. He extended it last night with 2 more hits, so 7 straight for Yelich. If you want to go further than 7 games and go back his last 20 games, Yelich's slash line is 386, 482, 500. That's a 482 on base in a 3-week run for Miami's Christian Yelich, and his average sits at 270.
Well, he's come on strong against everybody, and he's also raised his average against left-handers over the last few weeks.
High fastball ends up in the seats. And it's 1-2. Robbie Ray, a tough guy to homer against. Last 4 starts has not given up a home run, and he was good against the Giants his last time out. He struck out 8, didn't walk anybody. Tapper out towards short. Pennington in the lineup tonight throws out Yelich. Robbie Ray goes quickly in the first. Jose Fernandez when we get back. Showtime starts right now. Jose Fernandez on the mound here in Phoenix. Start number 4 of the season. He's 2-0 and an ERA 2.37. He won't be 22 much longer. He turns 23 at the end of this month.
You know, you even get a little buzz around the ball club with Jose pitching in this road game. And that's where he struggled somewhat in his young career, but making his 4th start. And he hasn't missed a beat. Everything has been sharp, even though he knows he still wants to work on some things.
He's working with JT Realmuto tonight. Ender Inciarte. First out of the box is a 95-mile-an-hour fastball for a strike. Chris Owings, Paul Goldschmidt will follow for the Diamondbacks, who sit 6 under at 43 and 49. Fernandez misses. It is Vic Carapazza who calls balls and strikes, with Brian Knight, Larry Vanover, and Ron Kulpa on the bases. Breaking ball pulled foul. 1-2.
I'll tell you what, that's a pitch to a left-handed batter that you're either going to do one of two things. You're going to swing and miss, or you're going to foul it off the way Inciarte did.
And a 98-mile-an-hour heater, and down goes Inciarte. Diamondbacks. Brought to you by JM Lexus. Here's their lineup. Inciarte leads it off. Owings at second. Paul Goldschmidt at first base. David Peralta's in left. This is an interesting matchup. I'm sure there are a few folks in Cuba watching, if they can, on their tablets and computers and such. With Yasmani Tomas, the Cuban, in right field. Jake Lamb, Cliff Pennington, and Oscar Hernandez complete the lineup for Chip Hale and the Diamondbacks. And this is Owings, who's at second base. A couple hits in this series. Boy, 98 at the knees. Jose's living down low right now.
He's living up high in the velocity and down low in the location, and he's also thrown a couple of real good sliders.
Wow. 99 miles an hour. And Jose Fernandez strikes out Owings.
Now let's take a look at the defense behind Jose with Christian Yelich, Cole Gillespie, Ichiro in the outfield, Casey McGee and Michael Morse at the corners. Up the middle, Echeverria and Martin Prado. Real Muto behind the plate. The defense brought to you by BMW.
Jose stumbled after coming off the mound. He kind of bailed out of that delivery. You got two of the best in baseball here. Jose Fernandez and Paul Goldschmidt. Breaking ball at the knees. A strike to Goldschmidt. And it's a ball and a strike.
Goldschmidt, who's been an all-star 3 times.
Fastball into left field. A base hit. And Goldschmidt adds to that lofty batting average. He came in at .341. And he's aboard.
Well, he can just flat out hit that fastball. We talked about Jose, how he was living down with the fastball. That time he got it up, and Goldschmidt jumps on it.
JT Realmuto may have been crossed up. You saw him react to that pitch. He was surprised that it was up and moving that quickly. And here is David Peralta. Peralta in left field. Diamondbacks thick with outfield talent when the season started. That's lifted in the air. Gillespie wanders over and makes the catch. And Jose Fernandez, a nice clean first inning, scoreless. Watch Real Muto where he sets up and watch where the pitch is. And I think he and Vic Carapaz are fortunate Goldschmidt hit the ball.
See the target with the glove. Usually that's put down there when you're asking for a breaking ball. And Jose threw the fastball, and Goldschmidt got the base hit.
No harm, no foul. Casey McGee, Michael Morse, and Real Muto against Robbie Ray for a strike. And although Jose Fernandez is kind of the headliner, Ray actually has a better ERA going into this start. McGee looking for some hits. Casey 4 for 18 since joining the ball club, and those hits came early upon his arrival. Still shaking off some of the rust from not playing in the transition from San Francisco to Miami.
You know, a little history against Arizona, and it's some good history. 333 average, 7 home runs in his career against the Diamondbacks. Yeah, Robbie Ray, who's had a good run in his 9 starts, actually started the season in AAA Reno.
Got to the big leagues last year with the Tigers. McGee drives that ball right center field, hits it well. Inciarte going after it, won't get it. It's in the gap, it's off the wall, and McGee trots in with a double. And that is the Casey McGee that the Marlins saw last year, a guy that had gap-to-gap power, a gap-to-gap swing. That's a big gap out there in right center.
Yeah, a guy who just stayed back and attacked. And that's exactly what he does. The pitch is pretty much middle of the plate, but he lets it get there. He stays back, drives it deeply. Even Inciarte, a terrific center fielder, he couldn't get there. The leadoff 2-base hit for Casey.
Now Michael Morse. The home run for Morse was to right field last night. Miami's 3-0 win over the Diamondbacks. So 4 homers. They've all come on the road. And Ray wants a new baseball. Morse getting the start at first base.
Kind of an interesting alignment in the Diamondbacks infield. Paul Goldschmidt, first baseman, he's way off that line. They kind of have him bunched up the middle.
And it's interesting that Owings, the second baseman, isn't that far towards second.
He hasn't moved. Usually you move with each other.
He does have power to right field, as he showed last night, and his home run before then, Fenway Park to right center field, which is big boy territory.
Yeah, it was in that Red Sox bullpen.
It was about a 440-foot shot. Here's the 1-1.
I think when Michael Morse is at his best, he drives the ball into the gaps, left center, right center, and certainly with power.
Leadoff double by Casey McGee. And Ray misses away. It's 3-1.
Boy, Ray has really slowed the pace down once Casey McGee got to second base with the double.
That and what looked like about 4 cycles of signs from his catcher. Now, the catching situation for the Diamondbacks
tonight. It was a late scratch for Wellington Castillo. Oscar Hernandez is a Rule 5 draft pick, getting just his second start in the big leagues. The Venezuelan, just 22 years old.
Yeah, back in spring training, he broke that same bone that Giancarlo Stanton broke, that hamate bone. But an interesting 3-1 pitch. It was a breaking ball.
And he tried to catch the corner with an off-speed pitch. Morse walks. And here's Real Muto. And you're right, Robbie Ray, who works quickly from the windup with nobody on, has gone into the four corners defense.
But I agree with you, Rich. I think it's a lot to do with the catcher. You know, he probably went over the game plan and went over all that with Wellington Castillo. And all of a sudden, the last-minute change has Hernandez behind the plate. And a fairly inexperienced catcher.
So here is Real Muto. You've got Gillespie and Echeverria behind him. Miami trying to get on the board here in the second, and Jose Fernandez start. Robbie Ray misses down low. The Marlins against lefties, 279 average, a 428 slugging percentage. Best in the National League, and only Toronto is better in all of Major League Baseball against lefties in those two categories.
Toronto has all those right-handed mashers. Bautista, Encarnacion, Russell Martin.
They're darn near over 300 against lefties. Real Muto. The count even now, and a ball and a strike. Dan Jennings, Mike Goff. Marlins trying to erase the sting of the sweep in Philly to open up this road trip. Lost the first, as it was the Diamondbacks that snapped a 6-game losing streak on Monday. Last night, the Marlins even the series. Chance to win the series for both teams tonight. And now I don't think it's the catcher now. I think Ray is really slowing it down. He's spending a lot of time watching Casey McGee.
It'll be an interesting discussion for you, Rich, when Bob Brentley comes over here. We're going to make a switch in the fourth inning. Of course, Bob, a terrific analyst for the Diamondbacks, a former Major League player, former Major League manager.
Former Major League catcher. And of course, it was Bob Brentley who managed the Diamondbacks to a world championship. That magical year of 2001. Now remember, pace of play this year isn't just for the hitters, but for the pitchers, not just between innings. The pitchers are supposed to stay in that dirt area, stay on that rubber area. And Ray is doing all of that. It's just once he gets into the stretch and watches for the signs that it's taking a while. He's 1-2 on Real Muto. Real Muto blasts one to center field. That's deep. Inciarte giving chase. He's there, and it's off the wall. McGee around third. Morse will stop, and McGee scores. Inciarte not only deking the runners, but deking me, and the ball hit off the terrace that overhangs in center field.
He's played the outfield enough in this ballpark. He knows how hard a ball is hit, where it's going. Watch this hanging breaking ball. JT Real Muto takes advantage of it. Watch Inciarte. He's saying, okay, I've got it. But he knows it hits off that facing above him. So a good decoy on his part, but a well-struck ball on the part of JT Real Muto.
Yeah, great decoy. Not only did he decoy, Tommy, but he was set exactly where the ball landed. And so Morse ends up at third.
Remember, we saw Ichiro with a great decoy in San Francisco.
And Miami with an opportunity for a nice inning here. They've got a run. Nobody out. Gillespie up. We'll see what the Diamondbacks do with their infield. Middle infield, halfway, corners even.
Well, they're halfway because Michael Morse is the runner at third. Not a whole lot of speed, so you don't have to play all the way in. With nobody out, boy, this is an interesting decision because you're down near the bottom of the order. Normally, with nobody out, you wouldn't be going on contact as the runner at third. You'd like a little more speed at third, but I still would guess he's probably not going to go on contact because there's nobody out.
Echeverria and then Jose Fernandez.
Now, on the other hand, you have the Diamondbacks. If Ray is able to get Gillespie, what will they do with Echeverria? They just put him on first base and pitch to Jose and go from there.
Here's a 1-1. It's in. Gillespie, the replacement when the Marlins needed outfield help. He was having a real nice year in New Orleans. This guy that's put up very nice numbers in the minor leagues, especially in AAA. He had shots with a few teams.
A lot of times organizations, Rich, sign players to minor league contracts, come to spring training, and when they're 31 years old, when they've had trials with 2 or 3 different clubs, you know if you need an outfielder, in his case, you got a good idea what you're going to get when you bring him up.
34 games with Seattle last year. And he sends that one to right field. Tomas towards the line. Morse is tagging. The throw coming home, and so is Morse, and it's cut. The Marlins have their second run. Gillespie delivers. Morse scores. And Real Muto ends up at third base.
Yeah, that's the capper of the whole thing. Real Muto spotted the throw, was able to go second to third. They got a few choices with Echeverria coming up, and one down, and JT over at third base.
Echeverria, a long look down at Lenny Harris, third base coach, who just whispered something in the ear of Real Muto. Now the Diamondbacks infield comes all the way in. You've got a little more speed and athleticism with Real Muto at third base.
Now in this case, if you don't see a squeeze, but in this case I would imagine Real Muto will be going on contact on a ground ball.
Having a different hitter on deck change that equation?
Yeah, that, and also having a different runner at third base too.
Well, there's Jose watching. And Echeverria taking a shot at that line with Goldschmidt way off the line. It's now 1-2.
Echeverria with a big base hit last night in the 5th inning. Drove in the Marlins' first run with a base hit up the middle.
Robbie Ray has 1 strikeout. He's walked 1.
You and I were talking before the game about Echeverria. He's in a comfortable spot now, the number 8 spot.
25 pitches already in this inning. Yeah, it's a spot where, for whatever reason, whether it's psychological or mystic, who can explain it, he's hit better in the 8th spot this year. Struck him out, fastball. Etch was leaning out. Ray came in, caught the plate, and got the strikeout.
Well, that's just a good setup and a perfect pitch. by Ray. He did have Echeverria leaning a little bit. Then he came in and found that inside corner. Yeah, Echeverria's hit over 320 in the number 8 spot. And everywhere else, he's a little over 200.
Now Jose. Fouls that pitch back. Jose loves to hit and was sitting, it looked like, on this pitch.
Got a pretty good fastball out over the plate. Yeah, that's his pitch.
Pumps in another fastball. We really haven't seen Ray use the changeup with a lot of success yet tonight.
No, we haven't. We've seen pretty good fastballs, seen some sliders.
.41 pitches already for Robbie Ray. Every Marlin hitter, and this is the 9th to come to the plate, has seen at least 3 pitches in his at bat. Fastball in.
Fastball in.
Jose yanks it down the line, and it is fair, and it bounces over the fence. It's a ground rule double, and Jose Fernandez delivers Miami's 3rd run of the night, and they wanted it in. Jose Fernandez, who had homered his only other hit in his first 3 games, yanks it for a double.
See if they got it in enough. No, they didn't. You could see the catcher reaching for it, and it was up. So Jose wasn't going to let that one go by. He fouled that one off early in the count. Not sure if he thought it was out. He's taking a peek. Okay, got to find first base, Jose. Got to find first base. All right.
I don't know if he touched first base after watching that. Let's see if he got it. Oh, he did get it.
This will not be on an instructional video as to how to round first base. Domingo Ayala will not be talking about this, how to round first base, like Jose Fernandez.
No. That's all right. It's a ground rule double. He could have walked into second. And it's an RBI double. It's 3-0 Miami. Here's Ichiro with 2 outs. And now if you're Chip Hale and that ball rolls, Jose's going to head to third, and he'll get there. If you're Chip Hale, your starting pitcher's thrown 44 pitches, and he's not yet out of the second. And so that's got to be of concern to the Diamondbacks right now. That is a passed ball on the rookie, Oscar Hernandez.
Yeah, there is some dysfunction going on right now between Ray and his catcher.
Ichiro pops it up. Pennington out, Peralta in, and it's Peralta who makes the catch. But the Marlins, 3 hits, and they're all doubles, including Jose Fernandez. 3-0. By Toyota. Let's go places. By Kaiser University. For more information, go to kaiser.edu. And by AutoNation, visit us online at AutoNation.com. The Marlins, a 3-0 lead with Jose Fernandez on the mound and Jessica Blaylock down below. Jess?
Randy Johnson will be inducted into the Hall of Fame this weekend, and the celebration began earlier this week at Chase Field. They held a send-off party for Johnson that involved the Wounded Warriors. You can see the picture that he sent out on his Instagram account, a very cool opportunity for those Wounded Warriors who are also going to go to the ceremony with Randy Johnson. But that's not the only thing that they're going to do. This weekend, they are going to hold Randy Johnson bobblehead night, and I managed to get my hands on one of them. Guys, take a look at this. I think they nailed it, especially the mustache and the hair. What do you think?
Yeah, he had one of the all-time great mullets in baseball history.
I'm thinking you're pretty lucky to score that thing.
Yeah, there have already been many people asking how I got my hands on this and whether or not they can have it.
Yeah, like me. Yasmani Tomas bounces out to second, and the bottom of the second underway. Jose Fernandez gave up a single to Paul Goldschmidt in the first. Jake Lamb and Cliff Pennington coming up now for the Diamondbacks. One of the things you see with Jose Fernandez, and it's a small sample size, it's just 3 starts here in 2015, but more ground ball outs than he's usually accustomed to getting. And I say that with a grain of salt. He's so young in his career. Tommy, there's a couple of reasons why, and I know you and Bob Brentley were talking about it before the ball game.
Yeah, and you just seen 2 97-mile-an-hour fastballs. I think Jose wants to go deep in games, and he wants to get some contact, get ground ball outs, instead of maybe going 2-2, 3-2, getting that strikeout all the time.
That and a few more changeups. There is the changeup.
There was.
And it's outside.
Probably more to left-handed hitters than to righties, but he'll throw a righty-on-righty changeup. Another one.
He just doubled up. And it's full now. With the Diamondbacks' young third baseman Jake Lamb out of the University of Washington. And he got him.
How about
back
that?
And got him.
Welcome, Mr. Lamb, on a backdoor breaking ball 3-2 pitch.
You can enjoy all the action at Marlins Park half price Miami Herald Tuesdays. The next half price Tuesdays coming up on the 28th. Marlins and Nationals at 7:10. Get the half price Lexus Legends Platinum tickets. Great discounts on tickets in several other categories. Go to Marlins.com today. The Nationals came back to beat the Mets in a back and forth contest in which the Mets bullpen kind of collapsed late.
Yeah, Bobby Parnell. That's at a 3-1 lead. Nationals scored 3 in the 8th inning.
4-3 the final. And so the Mets fall 3 games back in the East. That one struck well to right. Ichiro is there, and he makes the catch. Allowed out from Cliff Pennington. A 1-2-3 second for Jose Fernandez. Marlins on top of the Diamondbacks. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Bob Brenly will be joining us.
See, he's getting loose right now.
Yeah,
to make the move.
On his feet, stretching, hamstrings, quads. He will join us on Fox Sports Florida. Tommy Hutton will be working with Steve Berthume over on Fox Sports Arizona. Martin Prado in the box. Christian Yelich, Casey McGee scheduled up. And we'll see if Robbie Ray is able to right the ship from a bumpy ride in the second. Marlins got 3 runs, had 3 doubles, a walk, a sacrifice fly. And Prado takes a strike.
A lot of times, Rich, fans always want to maneuver players around, change the lineup, and that's all well and good when you are struggling at times. Just to let you know that the Marlins have done that in the 57 games now that Dan Jennings has been the manager. The Marlins have used 49 different lineups. Only the Mets, the Dodgers, and the Padres have used more different lineups.
Part of that injuries, part of that ineffectiveness and trying to find the right combination. Prado rolls it out to short. Pennington gets the out. Lexus of Pembroke Pines brings us the Marlins schedule. Okay, play along at home with us, kids. Tomorrow's game in San Diego is one of the very few we don't televise on Fox Sports Florida. 3 games, though, on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday will be on in San Diego. And then what a homestand. The Nationals, the Padres, and the Mets before the Marlins set sail for Atlanta.
Rich, everything goes through Atlanta.
That's true, unless you go through Dallas or Chicago. A strike to Yelich, who bounced to short his first time up. Not often Christian Yelich breaks a bat. You rarely hear that or see that.
And that one was shattered.
Ray got in on him, and here's McGee. Every now and then, our award-winning audio department with microphones all over the ballpark picks up something that we wish we had bet. So we apologize if you caught that as well. McGee blasted one to right. That started the second. A leadoff double. Michael Morse walked. JT Realmuto doubled off the facing of the balcony in left center. Cole Gillespie sacrifice fly. Jose Fernandez RBI double. And that adds up to 3-0 Miami.
Well, how many times have we seen Jose in pitching terrific games help himself defensively, help himself with the bat?
Here's a 1-1. And McGee pulls it foul. The Diamondbacks have the Milwaukee Brewers coming in for 4.
So once the Marlins get through San Diego, the Brewers are the only other club they haven't seen this year.
One and 2 to Casey McGee. It's a 4-gamer in San Diego. And that means Jose Fernandez will not pitch there, which maybe not such a bad thing.
Yeah, it would have been nice to have seen him pitch there, though.
Closure from the injury?
Yeah, that's where he got injured last year. Gave up the grand slam to Jed Jerko.
As it is, Jose will get to open Miami's homestand.
He'll open that Tuesday night against the Nationals.
And obviously, he's pretty darn good at home. He's only 14-0 with a 1.17 ERA with all of his starts at home so far in his career. He's not lost at home. That's outside corner. McGee didn't like it. Breaking ball caught the corner. And Robbie Ray cleans it up and goes 1-2-3 in the third. Another hot day here in Phoenix. Chase Field with the roof shut and the AC blowing. And right now Jose Fernandez with a 3-0 lead goes to work, bottom of the third. He gets Oscar Hernandez, Robbie Ray, and the top of the order, Ender Inciarte. That one pulled foul. One of the storylines for this ball game for the Diamondbacks is Wellington Castillo was a late scratch with a leg injury, and Oscar Hernandez had to jump into the driver's seat and catch this game. The Diamondbacks have gone through a lot of catchers this year, and that includes Jared Saltalamacchia, who was placed on the disabled list with a sore neck. That's a key spot for a guy like Chip Hale in his first year to have as a revolving door.
They've had at least 5 catchers. And the other part of that is you have catchers trying to deal with pitchers, starting pitchers. And that's not easy. There's not much consistency.
Tightness in the left hamstring. Precautionary move for Castillo not to start. Chevron Crazy 8s on Wednesdays. A Chevron Crazy 8s coming up on the 29th. Marlins and Nationals at 7:10. Bring your Chevron receipt of 8 gallons of gas or more to the Marlins Park ticket office. Get your choice of an $18 Lexus Legends level ticket or a $28 home plate box.
Yeah, Saltalamacchia has caught some games. Veteran Gerald Laird, Tuffy Gosewich, Castillo, Hernandez.
Well, Miguel Montero was here for many years and was such a durable and very good catcher. And that's a great pitch. Jose Fernandez not messing around with Robbie Ray. he may not mess around with another pitcher all year after Philadelphia.
Yeah, that hurt him in that game in Philly. How about 26 strikeouts for Jose Fernandez and 1 walk since returning from Tommy John surgery?
And so now, second time through for the Diamondback hitters. And we'll see what adjustments they make. We'll see if Jose varies from his game plan a little bit. Center field, Gillespie makes the catch. Tommy Hutton will disappear, and Bob Brenly will magically make his way to the booth.
See you in a bit, Rich.
All right, Hutton, good luck. Bob Brenly, his buddy Bob Melvin, celebrating the Game 7 World Series win, the trophy. A magical year in 2001, the parade through downtown Phoenix. And what a year it was. Michael Morse digs in, and he joins us now, the skipper of those Diamondbacks, current analyst on Fox Sports Arizona, Bob Brenly. Hi, Bob. How are you?
I'm doing well, Rich. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. That was 2001 was quite a year.
It really was, and we've had a lot of opportunities this season to relive some of those moments with Randy going into the Hall of Fame this weekend, and of course he was a big part of that 01 team, and it's been a lot of fun. Every couple days we'll look back at the 01 season and remember key games or key plays or key pitching performances. So it really has been a walk down memory lane this season for me.
Michael Morse up 3-0 Miami in the top of the fourth. Robbie Ray seems to have adjusted in the third. He went 1-2-3 after a bumpy ride in the second. And even though he was a Marlin for just a year, seeing Gonzo at the ballpark brings back memories not only for us, one of our favorite guys in just the 1 year, and he was a big part, obviously, of 2001. He had the game-winning hit in Game 7.
Oh, you know, you're going to be remembered forever in the Valley of the Sun. That one's fouled out of play. But, you know, Gonzo, you know him. Everybody that's been around Gonzo, he's your best friend. I mean, every fan that shakes his hand or he signs an autograph or every player that he meets in the visiting dugout, you're immediately a friend of Luis Gonzalez's.
Now, I remember you as a Major League catcher. I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, so those Giants teams, it's amazing how there's three of you guys in this division calling games, right? Krug and Kite,
yeah,
and yourself here. There's the 2-2 to Morse. You were a broadcaster and then went down to the dugout and then went back to the booth. That's an interesting path. Obviously, the many years of catching in the major leagues prepared you for managing. Who was it Was it Roger Craig? Who was the guy that you kind of patterned yourself after?
It was kind of a combination, Rich. I think any manager would tell you that. You're a combination of the people that you've learned from, whether it's good or bad. I mean, some managers don't do things quite the way you like, but Roger Craig was a huge influence on me, as well as on Bob Melvin in Oakland, and Mike Aldretti, who will be a manager someday. Just a tremendously detailed man, but didn't make it seem like work. You were always having fun. You were always learning something. Frank Robinson was my first manager in the big leagues. I learned an awful lot from Frank. I was a young, dumb rookie, and Frank did not like young, dumb rookies. So we had our go-rounds, but ultimately we got on the same page, and he really taught me a lot about the ball game as well. There were a few managers I didn't learn quite so much from, and a couple that I learned what I didn't want to do.
Ninth pitch of the at-bat, and it's called strike 3 on Michael Morse.
Yeah, you mentioned the ninth pitch of the at-bat there. That's kind of been an issue for Robbie Ray. He went a strong 5 innings last time out, but threw 99 pitches to get through 5. A lot of foul balls, a lot of borderline pitches, a lot of full counts. He's been very good when he's in the strike zone, but the pitch count usually catches up to him.
There's your in-game box score. And for the Marlins, those hits, doubles. McGee, Real Muto, and then Jose Fernandez. Yeah, a lot of pitches early, and we were talking about Chip Hale looking up at the scoreboard, thinking to himself in that second inning, this could be a long night and a short night for Robbie Ray if this pace keeps up. 71st pitch. Want to get your thoughts as a major league catcher and a manager on this kid, JT Real Muto. You got a chance to see him a little bit. What do you think?
I've seen him a little bit. I think he's a dangerous hitter when he gets himself into good counts. Predictable fastball counts. He gets it started a little bit early, shown some really good pop. Defensively, nothing really jumps out at me. We haven't really had a chance to see him throw much. Diamondbacks haven't had many base runners, so he hasn't really been forced into making throws to the bases. But I know the Marlins like him an awful lot, and he's got some good-looking pitchers to work with.
Real Muto hits that one to center field. No decoy here. Inciarte makes the catch. And there's 2 outs. Our Toyota trends. Champion catchers. 10 of the last World Series have been won by catchers. Joe Torre, Mike Scioscia, Joe Girardi. Of course, Boch has had the great run in San Francisco.
Yeah, Bochy and Torre were very greedy. They had to show off.
Well, you got yourself back into the postseason after the World Championship, right?
Yeah, in 2002 we went back to the playoffs and got beat in the first round by the Cardinals that year. Unfortunately, Luis Gonzalez, who once again had carried us offensively pretty much all season long, got hurt right at the end of the regular season, and we didn't have him available for the postseason. And I defy any team to lose your number 3 hitter the last week of the regular season and roll into the playoffs with any kind of confidence.
Cole Gillespie up now. Gillespie a sacrifice fly in the second. Bob Brenly joining us. Tommy Hutton over with Steve Berthume, Fox Sports Arizona.
Yeah, I just want to go on the record here, and I don't want to talk about politics or money or anything like that, but I really like your new ballpark in Florida. I think it's great.
We hear that a lot from broadcasters that come in and work, from both radio and television, writers. Not many hitters, visiting hitters, but pitchers like throwing there. But it is a lot of fun. The one theme you hear from most people is it's very Miami, that they know sitting in that ballpark that they are in downtown Miami. You can't say that about every park in Major League Baseball.
No, you're right. I mean, there was an era in baseball where you could blindfold a player and drop him into any one of 10 parks and you wouldn't know where you were. They all looked alike. But, yeah, there's no question you're in South Florida when you go to that ballpark.
The Diamondbacks were not real good guests when they came through. The Marlins were in the throes of a managerial change. Arizona won 4. And the Marlins with a chance to win this series. The 2 teams have split. Dan Jennings, Jose Fernandez. Full count, 2 outs. And that one lined into the seats. It's a unique situation that Jennings finds himself in.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what the Marlins do moving forward. I don't know Dan well. I've met him a couple of times, but certainly a very unorthodox way to make your way to that manager's seat.
Well, he's been the first to say that the game moves at an incredible speed on the field and in the dugout as a manager.
No, he's absolutely right. I mean, going from the broadcast booth down to the manager's seat, and it's the first time I'd ever managed. I'd been a coach on Roger Craig's staff. I'd been a coach on Dusty Baker's staff. So I had a good idea of how quickly the game moved. But when you're the guy that everybody is looking to make those calls, it tends to move very fast.
That one misses up, and Gillespie walks. You know, one of the things that Dan Jennings said the other day, and I think it was interesting to hear it. I mean, he's been quite candid and very honest with his experience, and he said, moving forward in his career, having this experience as a manager will only help him whatever he does down the road. If he goes back to being a general manager, he said he has a completely different perspective and appreciation. He always had an appreciation, but it's much deeper, he said, of what managers go through, not only running the game, but running a team and managing 25 different personalities.
And trying to fit all the pieces together. How does this work? You know, right-handed starter, left-handed starter for the other team. Do I platoon guys? Do I start a regular lineup? How is it going to best work with the personnel I have available?
One of the best lessons I learned as a young broadcaster in AAA was doing games in Las Vegas, and Dick Williams would come in and sit next to me. And one night I asked him, do you ever watch games on TV and manage from your couch? And he said, I can't say what he said, but he said no. He said, because you don't know what a manager's up against. Which guy has a sore arm, which guy got in late last night and wasn't in any shape to play. Here's the 1-0. Echeverria lifts it in the air to right. Tomas is there, and he said, until you know all those things, you can't manage. So it was a good lesson. Bob Brenly returns in Phoenix. Miami up 3-0. Brought to you by your local Chevy dealers. Visit your South Florida Chevy dealer today. By 5 Hour Energy Shots. Have you tried great tasting 5 Hour Energy lately? By Checkers. Mix and match our famous Big Buford Big Chicken Deluxe. It's in the bag. And by Subaru of Pembroke Pines. Price Service Selection. You're going to love us. Nighttime has arrived in Phoenix. 3-0 Miami on top. Jose Fernandez deals and misses in. Chris Owings, Paul Goldschmidt, David Peralta for the Diamondbacks. Bob Brenly from Fox Sports Arizona with us for this half inning. Your early impressions of Jose Fernandez.
Oh, man, I mean, the kid's not even 23 years old yet. I believe this is his 40th major league start, and he's already widely recognized as one of the most dominating pitchers when he's on top of his game, and I think we're seeing some of that here tonight.
Fastball pulled to left. Long run for Yelich, and he is there, and he makes the catch. The Gold Glover has great range and great routes in left. And so an out here in the fourth.
Boy, Yelich has covered a lot of ground in the outfield in this series. We've seen some fine defensive play on both sides. Yelich in center or left, and A.J. Pollock last night in center field. David Peralta tonight out in left field. Some fine defensive outfield work.
Now, one of our favorite Diamondbacks to watch is Paul Goldschmidt. Tommy Hutton and I love his stroke, love his demeanor. Liner to right, Ichiro won't get it. It's going to the wall, and Goldschmidt on his way to second. His second hit. The leading hitter in the National League, Paul Goldschmidt, is 2 for 2 tonight.
Yeah, I know, Tommy, it's easy to talk to the other team's broadcasters and hear glowing reports about what a great player is. But Paul Goldschmidt legitimately is one of the best players I've ever seen. I mean, he was a subpar defender in the minor leagues. He worked extremely hard to become a good defender. He's not a fast guy, big lumbering first baseman, but he steals bases because he's very smart. He pays a lot of attention. He reads moves well. Tremendous contact hitter for a big power guy. He takes his walks. And he's an even better guy off the field. He and his wife, Amy, donate a tremendous amount of time to Phoenix Children's Hospital. They go there a couple times a week during homestands, unsolicited, no camera crews, no radio crews. They just show up and spend time with the kids. I mean, it's an old cliche, but if you had a daughter, you wanted to marry a guy like Paul Goldschmidt.
Peralta swings and misses. Well, you'll be happy to note that last night on our telecast, Tommy Hutton, in talking about Goldschmidt, said he is a very underrated guy, even though he's a multiple-time All-Star and all of that. If he were playing in Chicago or New York or for the Dodgers, he would be a super-duper star.
Yeah, he'd be the face of the game if he were playing in a larger market that had a bigger fan base. I mean, every time the visiting crews come through, tell us about Goldie. What's he been doing? What's he been doing? And I just stopped. I just say he does the right thing all the time. We see him at first base with 2 outs in the inning, and somebody will pop a ball up in the infield. He always ends up at third base.
Jose Fernandez, sharp breaking ball, and that's strikeout number 6. And that brings up Yosmani Tomas. Well, I would expect there's a few folks in Cuba who have the ability on an iPad or a computer to watch Major League Baseball, and being around the Cuban national team, you know that baseball people do have that access, and they're probably watching tonight. They want to see Tomas, who was part of that Cuban national team, and they want to see Jose Fernandez, who escaped from Cuba when he was a teenager.
Well, we know how good Jose Fernandez has been up to this point of his career, and very easy to project how good he's going to be moving forward if he's able to stay healthy. Tomas was a little more of a wild card. We weren't quite sure what we were getting. We saw a little bit of video before the Diamondbacks signed him for $68 million. He showed up in spring training, and he looks like he's a little bit out of shape. He couldn't pull the ball to the left side of the infield. They were playing him at third base, out of position, and boy, you had a lot of Diamondbacks fans, a lot of Diamondbacks broadcasters scratching their heads. But as the season has progressed and he's gotten more comfortable not only with Arizona and the major leagues and the culture, it's really started to come out of him. He's a much better athlete than you expect. He runs well. He's a good defender. He has a strong throwing arm. His swing has started to come around to the point where if he's supposed to pull the ball, if it's a hanging breaking ball or a mediocre fastball, he's hitting it hard to left field. He's been in a little bit of a slump over the last week or 10 days since the All-Star break, but I think this guy has a chance to be a really good impact bat in the middle of the lineup.
0-2, and Jose spins around. One common thread that I saw from that Cuban national team, whether it's Tomas, Abreu, if you want to go further, Cespedes, even Puig, the Cuban power hitters, the ability to hit the right center and drive at 440, 450 feet. Drives that one over the head of Morse and down the line, and Goldschmidt will score. Ichiro cuts it off, and that's exactly what we were talking about. And Arizona's on the board. It's 3-1.
Well, his natural swing is designed to hit the ball that direction, and against a hard thrower like Jose Fernandez, that's a real good approach to have. 97-mile-an-hour heater, actually on the inner third of the plate, but that's that approach he has, leading with the knob of the bat, letting the barrel drag just a little behind, and it produces a line drive RBI base hit into right.
There are bigger names for Rookie of the Year: Chris Bryant and Jock Peterson. Matt Duffy's having a terrific start to his career in San Francisco, but there's no denying the numbers of Tomas. Here's young Jake Lamb. Diamondbacks thick with outfield talent when everything started this year. Mark Trumbo sent up to Seattle. On the infield, kind of a work in progress at third. Lamb, an injury, delayed his settling in at third.
And I know you were at the last two ball games. Jake Lamb had a real nice night defensively at third base last night. And the night before, Nick Ahmed, the shortstop, had a really good defensive night. I think those two are going to be side by side for a long time on that left side.
This is a very good defensive team in Arizona. It's a very good defensive team in Miami, especially when they have their full complement of guys out there.
Well, I know, speaking for the Diamondbacks, you better play good defense because you're going to give up some hits. You're going to give up some runs. It's a very young, untested starting rotation for the most part. Bullpen has kind of been in flux all season long. Injuries early and ineffectiveness early. Addison Reed, who was the closer when the season began, an established major league closer, is pitching down in AAA Reno right now, just trying to get some semblance of a game going so they can bring him back up. But yeah, the defense has been the one constant. And you better play defense every day if the rest of your game is inconsistent.
2-2, and it's fouled off. All right, I'm going to put you on the spot. Since you work in the National League West, who wins the West this year and why?
As much as it pains me to say it, being a former Giants player and a Diamondbacks broadcaster, the Dodgers, behind Greinke and Kershaw, that's just tough. They avoid long losing streaks.
Center field, that's well hit. Gillespie going back, and he won't get it. It bangs off the wall. Racing for third is Tomas. Around third, and he's going to score. And pulling in with a triple is Jake Lamb. And just like that, a 3-0 game is 3-2.
Well, that's been another trait of this Diamondbacks team this year. A little bit undermanned, experimenting at a couple of different positions, but they do battle. I mean, it's an old cliche in the game, but even when they're behind in a ball game, they try to put together quality at bats, keep the pressure on the other team, and we've seen this all year long. Many times they come up short at the end of the ball game, but they will battle.
And Jose Fernandez cruised through the first three. Got the first out here in the fourth, the Goldschmidt double. Tomas an RBI single. Lamb the triple, chases home the second run. And here's Pennington, who hits a bolt to left center field. Yelich is there, and he makes the catch. The Diamondbacks get two. The Marlins lead it by one. Bob Brenly.
Rich, it's always a pleasure.
Thanks for the visit. Good to see you.
A lot of fun.
And enjoy Randy Johnson's Hall of Fame induction. I know he's a big part of that World Series championship.
Yes, we're looking forward to that this weekend.
All right. Tommy Hutton will return momentarily. MLB doubleheader starts with the Athletics and the Giants. Then at 7 Eastern, Braves and Cardinals. Those games you can only see on Fox Sports 1. Coverage begins 4 Eastern, only on Fox Sports 1. It streams live on Fox Sports Go. Jose Fernandez first up, and he pulls one hard on the ground, and it gets through Jake Lamb. Fernandez, who had an RBI double his first time up on an E5, is aboard here in the 5th. Tommy Hutton rejoins us now. Hi, partner. How are you?
Good to be back. Good to be back. It's funny. We were just talking over on the other side with Steve Berthume about the defense, and Lamb, one of the names that came up, he's been very solid, but charged with an error there, just his 3rd.
Ichiro now. Ichiro for 2. He struck out and popped out. Robbie Ray gave up 3 runs in the 2nd. Jose Fernandez gives up 2 runs in the 4th.
I had to come back to get Jose in a groove, getting back in a groove.
Yeah, don't be surprised if Brenly is knocking on the door here, because the Diamondbacks awoke for 2 runs. I'll tell you what, it would have been more than 2 runs were it not for Christian Yelich. Yelich went far to his right and far to his left to get 2 outs in that inning and limit the damage to just the 2 runs. Ichiro gets into one, down the right field line, into the corner. That's a fair ball. Jose's racing for 3rd, and Lenny Harris will send him. Here comes Jose. He scores. Ichiro's got a triple. And Miami gets one of those runs back. It's 4-2.
All right, Jose, get in the dugout and rest a little bit. Take a breather. That's a good bit of running and hitting by Ichiro, because, first of all, he stays back, hooks this breaking ball, keeps it fair, but he has to keep his eye as he rounds second base on what Lenny Harris is doing with Jose. Is he going to send him or is he going to hold him? So he's watching there. A little bit of a stutter step. Once he saw Jose go to the plate, he took off for 3rd.
And Jose with a big smile on his face. It's 4-2. You know, the funny thing about Ichiro this year, that's his 3rd triple. He doesn't have a double yet this year.
Yeah, we talked about this ballpark the other night, a good triples ballpark.
Let's see what the Diamondbacks do with Prado up. You see the middle infield's halfway. Corners are just about even. And a strike. And finally, we kind of almost expected this in that long 2nd inning. The Diamondbacks bullpen is in motion with the lefty Robbie Ray here in the 5th.
Rich, what was Bob Brenly's take on Robbie Ray and Oscar Hernandez?
Just that, young catcher, only his 2nd big league start. Things really slowed down when he had to go through the sequence of calling the pitches, and the long line of catchers that the Diamondbacks have had here. Here's the 1-1, and a lot of that I got between innings, as we were talking about Ray and Oscar Hernandez.
You have that way of just opening people up.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't stop between innings. Sort of like, you know, Bill Maher afterwards on HBO.
Yeah, yeah.
You can log on and get the stuff off the show. Overtime, I think it's called. Here's the 2-1.
Also, that changeup, it looks like Ray struggled with that pitch as far as command.
Prado in a good spot here. He's got not only a fast infield surface, but an infield that's in and a runner at 3rd. Prado 0 for 2. He's bounced to short, bounced to 2nd. This one gets through the infield. Actually got right through Ray. And so 2 runs here in the 5th. And the Marlins lead is now 5-2. Time now for our Geico Major League moment. In 2012, Barry Larkin and the late Ron Santo inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. There's the great parade in Cooperstown, and what a ceremony it'll be this year. This is the one you really want to watch. Hear the speeches. We've been talking about Randy Johnson going into the Hall of Fame.
Pedro, Smoltz, Craig Biggio.
Yelich takes away. Jessica Blaylock had the Randy Johnson Hall of Fame bobblehead in her possession. Hopefully she still has it.
She's going to have a death grip on that thing when we fly to San Diego.
Yelich shoots it out towards short. Pennington, Owings just got him. Prado with a slide out at second, and the Diamondbacks turn 2.
Well, we saw that double play ball really hurt the Marlins in the first game of this series. And you have to be almost perfect. There was a little double clutch, but that ball was hit in a great spot. You have to be almost perfect to double up Christian Yelich.
95th pitch coming for Robbie Ray, and this certainly you'd expect will be his last inning. Casey McGee takes outside.
Yeah, he's due up second when the Diamondbacks hit in the bottom half.
Well, Bob was entertaining. We talked about 2001.
But that was, he'll never forget that year.
Talked about being a player, then a broadcaster, then a manager, and then a broadcaster again. He'd never managed before going in, and he talked a little bit about what Dan Jennings is up against. We dropped some Gonzo love. Luis Gonzalez. What'd you guys talk about?
Well, the whole top half of the inning, we talked about Carter Capps' delivery.
Really?
I said, I said I've taken it. It's been taken to the Supreme Court, Major League Baseball, and it's been ruled legal. And I said anything beyond that, defer to Rich Waltz.
Now, I was pre-law in college, so I think I can handle that. That one fouled out.
They had video of longtime first base coach Dave McKay. And it kind of hurt because Dave McKay and I were teammates in Toronto one year doing a big hop. And I said, that's not what Carter Capps does. They had a post-game clip of Chip Hale talking about it.
Here's the 2-1, and it's in. And he walks. My bad. The scoreboard had 2-1, and I was watching the big board here at Chase Field.
And listening to me talk about Carter Capps.
Well, and watching Chip Hale walk out onto the field. So the end of the road has come for Robbie Ray. And the rookie manager of the Diamondbacks takes the ball. A Wes Kendall Toyota call to the bullpen. Telecast is brought to you by T-Mobile.
Hey, our thanks too to all the folks who followed on Twitter, emails last night. This is a great night. That's good stuff.
It was. These are trying times, obviously, for the Marlins. They were, as you see, Matt Stites. They were a season low 17 under last night, but the emails and the tweets kept us entertained, and we hope we kept you entertained on a late night with the Fish last night. Miami beat Arizona 3-0, up 5-2 here. And this is Michael Morse with Casey McGee at first. Huge jump. McGee is running, and he made it. A sneak attack by Casey McGee.
Strong throw by Oscar Hernandez made this a lot closer, but if you start shuffling off and get that running jump and the pitcher doesn't pay much attention, Casey McGee even picks up a stolen base.
That's his first stolen base of the season. Shuffling off, not the Buffalo reference.
No, you're not going to shuffle off to Buffalo. You're going to shuffle off to second base.
Well, McGee's in scoring position for Morse, who's walked and struck out.
You hear the term, pitching coaches or catchers will yell out to their pitcher, make him stop. So once he stops, then all of a sudden that shuffle stops and he's not going to get that kind of jump.
Oh, 2 to Morse. So Stites, the right-hander, takes over for Ray, the lefty. Pitch in the dirt. McGee's last stolen base was as a Marlin last year. He swiped one in Atlanta the end of August. Justin Upton awaits Marlins and Padres Friday night, 9:30. No television tomorrow. It's a Dan Herron, Andrew Kashner matchup. That's a fun matchup. We invite you tomorrow night to listen into the Marlins radio network, or try to pirate the telecast of Fox Sports San Diego.
Nothing illegal, of course.
Well, I've already read the disclaimer, so I think we're clear of that. 1-2. That's outside corner. Stites strikes out Morse. Miami, though, bounces back and gets 2 runs. And it's 5-2.
Marlins, in addition to Miami having a first-year manager in Dan Jennings, the Diamondbacks have a first-year skipper in Chip Hale. Here is Hale on the experience so far.
The experience has been great, but you learn every day, just like I did as a player, just like I did as a minor league manager and a coach in the big leagues. You try to tweak things that you do and learn from your experiences.
Very interesting. Chip Hale said his biggest challenge so far this season has been managing his bullpen. He's going to be tested with that tonight.
Yeah, Jessica, I mean, for any manager in the big leagues, it's a really hard job. And certainly these two managers have arrived at this position from different points. When you're never given I mean, unless you step right in to manage the Dodgers or right now maybe the Giants.
Or in the case of Mike Matheny, the Cardinals.
The Cardinals, that's a great example. Yeah. You're never really given a complete team or a team that is firing on all cylinders because, let's face it, those teams aren't going to replace their managers.
Well, look how things turned out in San Diego with all the moves and all the things they did in the offseason. And all of a sudden, Bud Black was out of a job.
And it doesn't seem to be Bud Black's fault now that there's a lot of noise that the Padres may be sellers as the deadline approaches. Nick Ahmed gets the at-bat here in the fifth as Jose Fernandez gave up a couple runs in the bottom of the fourth. Paul Goldschmidt, Yasmani Tomas, and Jake Lamb had the hits. 7 strikeouts for Jose. You look at the right side of his pants where there's usually a pretty obvious dirt spot. There's not a lot of sweat coming out of him, which is rare to see.
Well, you got the dryness here in Arizona. That's one of the reasons.
Yeah, we're used to seeing Jose sweat a ton.
And Jose's used to it.
Yes. Counts 1-2. So Ahmed hitting in the 9 spot. Diamondbacks will again go to their bullpen for the 6th. Ender Inciarte is on deck. No walks to go with the 7 strikeouts tonight and make it 8 strikeouts.
Well, this is just a real test too tonight for Jose and his conditioning because he's been on the bases a couple of times. And the thing you really have to like, the bottom 2 spots in the lineup, 8 and 9, are 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. Of course, Jose's career high, 14 strikeouts. Did that a couple of times.
Love the number that you threw out there with Jose with the strikeouts and the walks. With his 8 strikeouts tonight, he's got 29 strikeouts, and he's walked just 1.
And you would think, without having pitched in 11, 12 months, the area, even with all the conditioning and rehab, the area that you lose is command a little bit. And as we say that, he's fallen behind 3-0.
Three and 1. Pitch number 61 with 2 outs here in the 5th. Little pop. Echeverria is there and he makes the catch. A 1-2-3 5th for Jose Fernandez. 5 innings through it. 5-2 Miami. Busy night for the Marlins. Busy night for Jose Fernandez. 5-2 fish in the 6th. With Tommy Hutton, Jessica Blaylock, Rich Waltz with you. Yes, it's still triple digits outside. Marlins headed to San Diego after this one for a 4-game series that opens tomorrow night,
where it'll probably be mid-70s every day.
And you may want to bring a sweatshirt to the ball game at night. That marine layer comes in at night, burns off the next morning about 11:30. JT Realmuto against Dominic Leone, who takes over for Matt Stites. Leone, one of the pieces that the Diamondbacks got back in the Mark Trumbo trade with the Seattle Mariners.
Actually had 8 appearances for the Mariners earlier this year, then was sent to their AAA affiliate in Tacoma.
Has appeared in 1 game for the Diamondbacks. Realmuto, RBI double and a fly ball out. They count 1-2. If you're just joining us, the Marlins 5 hits, 5 runs. Their hits have done damage. All but 1 for extra bases. Ichiro's triple. Realmuto, Casey McGee, and Jose Fernandez with doubles. That one well struck to center, but Inciarte glides over and makes the catch. Next Kids Eat Free Wednesday is on the 29th. Marlins and Nationals at 7:10. If you're 12 and under, grab mom and dad and say, hey, we get to eat free if we go to the Marlins game. Free canned beef, Frank, bag of Frito-Lay chips, small Pepsi or Aquafina water. Go to Marlins.com.
Now that's all well and good if you want the kids to eat free, because that's Wednesday. But if you want the kids to see Jose Fernandez, he'll be pitching Tuesday.
Well, there you go.
You might have to buy a hot dog, some nachos maybe.
But I'll bet there's a nice ticket special you can get.
Yeah.
Check Marlins.com for all the promotions for that Tuesday night. Cole Gillespie fouls it back. Gillespie is walked, has a sacrifice fly. Lamb. That was close. Bang, bang, and he's out. 2 down here in the 6th. And up comes Adeiny Echeverria. Some games, some finals in Major League Baseball in the division. The Dodgers beat Atlanta 3-1. Mike Bolsinger gets the win. Julio Teheran the loss. So the Braves are 5 under. The Dodgers now 12 over. Of course, the Dodgers trying to withstand the Giants, who beat the Padres 7-1. Giants are 2.5 games behind the Dodgers in the West. Marlins play the Padres tomorrow night. Pitches away. We told you about the Nationals getting to Bobby Parnell and the Mets bullpen for a 4-3 win in Washington. Echeverria, left field, well hit, off the wall. With a resounding thud, the throw comes into second. Goldschmidt trailing the play picks it up. And Echeverria with double number 15.
Well, another extra base hit, 4 doubles and a triple for the Marlins in this game tonight. That breaking ball just kind of hung inside, and it stays back with it. Hands involved very well in this swing, and takes it over the head of Peralta, the left fielder.
You know that a lot of things have gone wrong for the Marlins this year in terms of performance, in terms of health. One thing that hasn't is Adeiny Echeverria. as you move forward as an organization, you want to know what you have. And I think having seen Echeverria now for almost, 2.5 seasons, seeing his improvement at the plate, he's having a nice year. Hitting up, he was over 300 for a while. He's up in the upper 280s.
The defense has been tremendous, just 4 errors and also covering a lot of ground.
It's not an easy position to fill. It looks like the Marlins have got themselves their shortstop for a while.
You think about D. Gordon, so you love to have that up the middle taken care of, and it certainly is. JT Real Muto behind the plate. Just have to give Marcell Ozuna squared away.
Jose Fernandez had a busy night at the plate. The RBI double, pulled down the left field line in the second. Hit a hard smash that went through the legs of Jake Lamb at third, and that started the 2-run fifth. That was ruled an error. So he's got 2 hits. One's a double, one's a homer. And Jose bailing out at that fastball on a 3-0 pitch. It's a strike around the inside part.
You and I talk a lot about, and this will be something to look for certainly as Jose continues in the game. But we talk a little tweak on the hand there on that swing. But we talk about stressful innings for a pitcher. I think tonight it's been stressful, taxing physically on Jose at the plate because he's been on base. He's had to run.
And he hits a seed out to second. And it's caught there by Owen. He's hit it hard all 3 times. 5-2 Miami.
A 5-2 lead. Jose Fernandez heading back out on the mound. I had a chance to talk to Marlins pitching coordinator Chuck Hernandez about Jose and asked him what's been most impressive so far about Jose, and he said it's been the strikeouts. Jose came into this game with 21 strikeouts, guys. He already has 8 so far tonight. It's hard to believe that this is his 4th start of the season. He looks like he's been pitching all year.
He has, and at times it looks like he's been toying with players, much like Baxter, the mascot, toys with fans. There's a drive to left. Yelich will have it. not only fans, but Baxter also has a good time with visiting sideline announcers. Jessica, I know you and Baxter have had some interaction here before the game. What was going on here?
I think that Baxter was trying to distract me, but look at me. I'm obviously such a professional that it did not work. But, the shenanigans of Baxter, that has been a fun experience here at Chase Field.
Which mascot has given you the hardest time on the road this year?
You know what? I would have expected it to be the Fanatic, but I think that he's just too much of a fan of Craig. So I'm actually going to go with Baxter. I think it's Baxter.
I think yesterday we saw Baxter checking your left ring finger, because I think Baxter's available.
It turns out that I'm available as well. So Baxter, give me a call.
He has a little trouble dialing with those paws on the new cell phones, the touch phones. So I wouldn't expect one shortly. Here's Paul Goldschmidt, and Fernandez misses outside. This was yesterday.
Yeah, see, he's taking a peek.
Oh, Baxter. I'm not even mad. I'm impressed. Thank you, Baxter, for that boost of confidence.
Okay.
This is a guy, by the way, that Jose's had trouble with. Goldschmidt. Of course, Goldschmidt has given a lot of pitchers trouble. Goldschmidt 2 for 2, single and a double.
8 strikeouts for Fernandez. And Goldschmidt swings and misses.
There's that righty on righty changeup. It's a strange pitch for a right-hander to see. Then you think about the fact that it's 89 miles an hour. So your first reaction is, here comes a fastball, and it's not quite 95 or 98. It's 89. And very effective there, too. A good hitter.
9 strikeouts. Here's David Peralta. You noted that it's been such a busy night for Jose on the mound, at the plate, on the bases. And he runs into some of the bats that gave him issues in the 2-run 4th. So far, he's got the first 2 outs of the 6th. And a slider puts him out in front 0-2. Now he's at 69 pitches right now.
If he picks up one more strikeout, it'll be the 8th time in his young career that he's had 10 or more strikeouts.
Oh, no. Fastball, and it hit Peralta in the helmet. Peralta is down.
Boy, you can see the reaction of Jose, too.
And let's hope he's all right. You could hear it. Meanwhile, the home plate umpire, Vic Carapazza, just threw somebody out of the game from the Diamondbacks dugout. I'm not sure who it was. It's not Chip Hale. Chip Hale's out there right now.
There's no need for any. It's clearly obvious that wasn't intentional. So why somebody would be thrown out for that, it's just crazy.
And Peralta is sitting up now. And good to see him moving. It sounded like that it hit flush with the helmet. We haven't taken a look at it yet. Jose visibly upset, came right to the plate and tried to check on Peralta.
Once Jose gets back on the mound, he's going to have to regroup and not think about what just happened. But that's a good sign there.
And so Peralta will lead the game. Now the discussion between Chip Hale and the umpires, Vic Carapazza. Here's our first look. And it did look like it got him in the helmet. And so Peralta on the bench. A.J. Pollock is going to run for him.
Good move by Chuck Hernandez to go out there and just kind of regroup the whole situation, because they're 2 out in this inning, and Jose certainly wants to just get out of this inning, and going to have to deal with Tomas, who had an RBI single his last at bat.
Tomas 1 for 2. No word on who was ejected yet from the Diamondbacks dugout. And a breaking ball to Tomas. Turner Ward was ejected. Ward, the hitting coach for the Diamondbacks. Jose with the breaking ball. And I wouldn't be surprised if he just stays breaking ball or changeup here and doesn't throw the fastball. He really was not able to throw any pitches during the delay. And you saw his reaction when he hit Peralta. Oh, 2. Yep, he stayed breaking ball the whole time, Tommy. I think he was very aware of that.
Yes, he was. That's strikeout number 10, too.
Not wanting to come in with the fastball. 5-2, Marlins on top. The exclusive loyalty program of Marlin fans. To learn more, go to marlins.com/fishfamily. Your bonus code tonight is triple. Top of the order for the Marlins: Ichiro, Martin Prado, and Christian Yelich. A.J. Pollock into the ball game. Pollock will come in defensively. Remember, he came in as a pinch runner, so he stays in and goes to center, and that pushes Inciarte over to left as Peralta comes out after being hit by that pitch. Dominic Leone still in, and Ichiro flips it foul. There's a look at Ender Inciarte.
As we talked about last night, they have really 3 outfielders who can play center field. They're very good outfield, cover a lot of ground.
Ichiro's triple was into the right field corner.
And it was career hit number 2,898.
South Florida Honda dealers, get you ready for Friday night in San Diego. Dan Herron, Andrew Kashner, Greg Minervini, and Preston Wilson will be hosting.
I think Preston's really helping Craig step up the wardrobe a little bit too.
2-2. Slow tapper. Pennington gets the out. Casey McGee talking to Jose. And I'm sure you've got a veteran there counseling a young pitcher as to what just transpired with the fastball from Jose that hit David Peralta. Prado takes a breaking ball for a strike.
It's a tough situation. You know that Jose is concerned, certainly upset with what happened, but on the other hand, he has to get back into his rhythm and his game the way he's been throwing.
One and two. Good live fastball, and Prado down swinging. Marlins have had some big hits in this one. Robbie Ray, the starter for the Diamondbacks, went just 4 2/3 innings. 3 doubles in the second resulted in 3 runs. Casey McGee, JT Realmuto, Jose Fernandez hit a walk to Michael Morse and a sac fly by Cole Gillespie. And then in the 5th, the RBI triple by Ichiro, followed by Prado's RBI single after Fernandez reached on an error. It's not been a slugfest in terms of hits. Marlins have just 6. Diamondbacks have just 4. Fernandez has struck out 10 and hasn't walked anybody. So he now has struck out 31 on the season and walked just 1.
Christian Yelich trying to keep his stretch alive. 20 consecutive games. He's reached base.
And Yelich gets hit, and Leon has been tossed from the game. So Yelich is hit. Leon has been ejected.
And that'll also get Chip Hale ejected. It's absolutely ridiculous that they retaliate in a situation like that. Absolutely ridiculous. All you had to do was look at the reaction of Jose, the way he's been pitching, the score of the game. Why would he hit anybody? Absolutely ridiculous they would retaliate, and you can't tell me that wasn't a retaliation.
So Hale is gone, Leon is gone, Yelich is at first, and the Diamondbacks are going to have to go to their bullpen. Another look.
If you're in a situation where you're going to retaliate, that's where you want to throw a pitch. But it's just ridiculous in this situation that they did.
Josh Colmenter comes out of the bullpen. And this is a Wes Kendall Toyota. Called to the bullpen. Marlins on top 5-2. discretion if he feels a pitcher is thrown at a hitter. You don't have to have a warning before you eject someone, and that's the case here with Vic Carapazza ejecting Dominic Leone.
So in effect, Carapazza could have not ejected Leone
and then warned, but
then sent out the warning.
He's trying to squelch it right here. So,
well, you know, there's retaliation. There's times to do it. I just don't think that was one of the times.
So Cole Mentor comes out of the bullpen. He has as long as he wants to warm up. McGee will be the hitter. Yelich is at first base. And it will be with 2 outs. Interesting to see if Yelich runs here. Cole Mentor, a guy that generally takes
you know what? If you're going to play that kind of ball, go ahead and run. Take off.
Right. Well, that's my point. Cole Mentor is a guy that takes a while to unfold to the plate. There's 2 outs. Even if he didn't just get dotted in the rear end, he would probably still want to run, right? In terms
with 2 outs, sure.
2 outs, and it's a 3-run game. So let's see if he runs.
Yeah, the bottom line is, what have you really accomplished if you're the Diamondbacks? If you're playing a team it's the last time you're going to see them. Won't see them again until next year. Be different if we're San Francisco or the Dodgers.
Yelich and Goldschmidt chatting it up at first. Pitch is in.
That's when you joke around as a player, and if you're Yelich, you're down there talking to Goldschmidt, and you're saying, Goldie, you're next. They know what's going on.
Yelich runs, pitches in, the throw down to second, and he's out. Yelich turns, and on a head-first swim move slide, he's thrown out at second base. 5-2, Marlins on top. (5-2), Marlins on top. The Marlins are challenging the tag at second on the Yelich stolen base. Watch the tag. The hand looks like it's on the bag before the glove gets to the chest.
Yeah, he's actually tagged on the chest. So the question is that tag applied before he got the hand on the bag? It's a great move by Christian Yelich. Great swim move.
Well, the first thing you look for is, does the hand hit the bag when it goes down immediately? And it does from that angle. Now watch this angle and put those two together. Watch the hand go down to the bag. It goes right to the bag. Bang.
I think he's in there.
I think he is too. They sync up.
But is there enough evidence?
That's a good
to overturn the call.
Always a good point.
And I think a good challenge by Dan Jennings at this point in the game. You have a 3-run lead.
Sure, the umpires can challenge now themselves from this point on. They've already played Take Me Out to the ball game. So the 7th inning stretch.
They may have to play it twice.
Not often that you get that. And this, it's evident that in New York they're trying to find as many angles as they can and put them together. All the camera angles and replays themselves are synced up. This will be tough to tell when the glove hits.
But you're right. When you watch that hand, the left hand gets to the bag right away.
Oh, he's out.
I just don't think they had enough.
Call stands. Well, let's play the Take Me Out to the ball game again, why don't we, Hut?
Yeah, let's do it again.
All right, let's go take our time out again, shall we? 5-2 Marlins. That's no walks, 2 runs on 4 hits. H. Gregg, high def highlights.
I think what we've seen tonight, Rich, is an assortment. The fastball, some sliders have got strikeouts. He's used that changeup. There it was there. So once again, a complete performance by Jose Fernandez as he gets ready to work the 7th inning here. So in his career now, 8 times, he's had 10 or more strikeouts.
So 73 pitches. Jake Lamb. And Jose misses outside with a fastball. Now during the break, as Jose came out, Vic Carapazza met him just to make sure they were all square on the situation. Change up for a strike. Jose, if you didn't see the 6th inning, hit David Peralta in the helmet. Peralta had to leave the ball game. Jose's reaction was of shock and regret as he came to the plate and stayed at the plate while Peralta was on the ground, and then finally sat up and left the field on his own power. Was sitting on the Diamondbacks bench last we saw.
All in all, Rich, I think home plate umpire Vic Carapazza, who's a very good umpire, I think he's handled this whole situation pretty well.
I would agree. Here is Pennington in the top of the 7th with 2 outs. Christian Yelich was hit by Dominic Leone. Yelich was hit in the back pocket, as they say, and Leone was ejected. Turner Ward, the hitting coach for the Diamondbacks, had been ejected right after Peralta was hit, and Jose feeding Martin Prado some ground balls here
and getting some quick outs.
Yelich didn't charge the mound, didn't make any menacing moves.
Nah, he knew.
And here is Oscar Hernandez, the young catcher who has struck out twice. Diamondbacks bullpen has been a busy place. They've got 3 relievers who already have worked in relief of Robbie Ray, who lasted just 4 2/3 innings. The Marlins have a chance here to win this series. A 3-run lead, 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th. Outside corner, a ball and a strike. Aaron Hill on deck, you just saw. Count 2-1.
I think all in all, when you look at the pitch count, regardless of what happens here, even if Jose gets an out right now, it'd probably be enough for him. He's run the bases. He's had the emotional roller coaster of hitting Peralta. Yeah, we'll see what Dan Jennings thinks. But you know, you look at the evening, the entire body of work tonight.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And that would be ball 4. It's only the 2nd walk all season. 2nd time we've seen Jose come off the mound and maybe catch a spike. I'm not sure if it was a spike or he slipped. Aaron Hill hits for Colementor. Hill, a former Toronto Blue Jay. And a guy that has had a nice career, done some damage in his career. His 4th year with the Diamondbacks. After 7 years with Toronto. A strike. On the Yelich play at second, call stands means not enough definitive evidence to overturn the call.
I think that's kind of what we saw. Now, after the walk and just the extension of this inning, this will be it for Jose.
I think
agreed.
Yeah, I agreed, and I think you're accurate in the emotional roller coaster of what's happened. You can tell that Jose right now is trying to focus and just trying to finish. And he stayed mostly with breaking balls, changeups, and
yeah, you're right. He's thrown a few fastballs, but not many
since he hit.
And they've been in the 93-94 range.
Yeah, since he hit Peralta. That's the changeup. And it's 3-2.
Right now, he needs to just tell himself, make one more good pitch. One more good pitch.
93 is the one fastball he threw. And he lost him. And now the Diamondbacks, with Inciarte, will bring the tying run to the plate. And Chuck Hernandez is on the horn. The Marlins will get somebody ready.
A little surprised just watching him that there wasn't anybody ready after the first walk, or anybody getting ready after the first walk. So now Chuck's going to take his time to allow whoever gets up, allow them a little time.
It's like Brian Morris will be the first one to get loose. Inciarte is 0 for 3. Has struck out, flied out, popped out. He has a couple home runs this year. It's the one thing, and remember the at bat in Philadelphia in the 6th inning when Jose eased up on a fastball and it hurt him. Change up, bad hop, and it's off of Morse, and it rolls down the right field line. And the Diamondbacks are going to get 1 run out of it. It's a 5-3 ball game. Hernandez scores. Hill stops at third. And there's a lot more urgency now for Fernandez to finish this inning.
Well, you thought he maybe was going to get out of the inning with the good changeup. He got Inciarte a little bit out front with the chopper to first base, but the nasty hop off the body of Michael Morse. Good pitch. There's that tough hop on a really hard infield. And it turns into a bad hop double.
Chris Owings. And a fastball for a strike. Oh and 1. Well, he's back up in the mid to upper 90s all of a sudden. 96, and he misses there. It's a ball and a strike.
I think he senses the urgency right here.
One, two. Good breaking ball, and that's, you know, he threw a lot of breaking balls in that sequence, but you see what happens when a guy doesn't have the fastball command and the fastball that he's throwing at 96, 97. All of a sudden he throws a 96 mile an hour fastball, breaks off the slider, and it's missed by a foot.
Yeah, the breaking ball has a little different look if the fastball is in the lower 90s.
That one fouled off of JT Realmuto. I think there's no dispute that Jose hitting Peralta has affected him, his pitch selection and his focus, which is understandable. But right now, he's trying to get through this inning and keep a 5-3 lead. One-two coming. Breaking ball got him. Strikeout number 11 is a rather important one. It probably finishes the night for Jose Fernandez. It finishes the Diamondbacks in the 7th. 5-3 Miami. Heritage Night on August 1st. Marlins and Padres at 7:10. All-you-can-eat seats, just $35. After the game, enjoy a concert on the West Plaza with hip-hop legend Salt and Peppa. Presented by Lexus. Go to Marlins.com. Today, I was chastised last night on one of the emails that I didn't pronounce Salt and Peppa correctly.
That's exactly the way I ordered it today. I'll have a little salt and pepper.
11 strikeouts for Jose Fernandez.
A couple of changes for the Diamondbacks. David Hernandez, so we have a Hernandez battery throwing to Oscar Hernandez. He comes in the game. Aaron Hill stays in the game. Hill's at second base.
Still some work to do here. A 2-run lead for Miami. Casey McGee, Michael Morse, JT Realmuto. And McGee sprays a ground ball. Hill right in the ball game, has to spin around and get the out. And there's one out here in the 8th.
You know, right now, when you look at both teams' benches, Dan Jennings has a full complement. He has 5 players available. On the other side, the only available player right now is Wellington Castillo, who didn't start because he had a little tightness in his hamstring.
That's the National League when you are behind as a manager and you're changing pitchers. You get a short start from your starter and you're behind. That's a double whammy.
And you're playing with 4 men on your bench. You have that extra pitcher.
Michael Morse, an 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts, has walked and scored a run. Count 0-2.
Morse had a 2-hit game in Philadelphia. Of course, hit the home run here last night.
Breaking ball misses. Hernandez, 4th reliever. The guy's been busy in the Diamondbacks bullpen up until last year. He was injured, didn't pitch last year. Tommy John surgery on March 24th. Came to Florida to visit Dr. Andrews.
Also came to Arizona via the Baltimore Orioles.
And down goes Morse. He struck out 3 times tonight. All right, T-Mobile, hashtag FL Data Strong fan. It's your chance to be part of the telecast. A selfie with Tommy Hutton. Glenn. Well, that'll get you on television. Not you, Tommy, but anyone that takes a selfie with you.
There you go. We always try to look our best in case anybody comes up and wants the selfie.
Yeah, around batting practice.
Yeah.
It looks like at Marlins Park. Realmuto, a strike. Double for Realmuto, which was close to a home run. It glanced off the terrace. This is a tough center field to play in terms of distance, and then that whole wall in center. Both, you've got the little terraces, the decks that
got the little overhang right here.
Yeah, those are in play. You
right there.
You got to actually hit it into that deck to get a home run. I've seen balls actually bounce off the warning track up underneath there. Count 1-2.
And you have that exact same thing on the left side of center field.
It's a very nice symmetry to it, with 2 big steel girders sitting in center field. Realmuto can't hold up. Dug out by Oscar Hernandez. Marlins are done in the 8th. Bottom of the 8th. 2-run Miami lead. Marlins to make a pitching change, shuffle their defense first. Miguel Rojas is at second base. Casey McGee across the diamond from third ends up at first base. And Martin Prado from second base over to third, and all that moving and shaking to get Carter Capps in the ball, or excuse me, Sam Dyson in the game. They jumped the gun on Carter Capps. I'm sure Steve Berthiaume will be disappointed.
So Dyson comes in with that live fastball, heavy sinker, heavy changeup.
Paul Goldschmidt. A.J. Pollock and Yosmani Tomas. That's a big spot here for Dyson. Miami tries to hold the line and get it to Ramos in the ninth. And you got Goldschmidt, the leading hitter in the National League, and he's added to that with 2 hits tonight. His average up to 344.
Yeah, Dyson does not have the easy part of the order here.
.94-mile-an-hour strike. Of course, atop the hitting charts for a long time, it was D. Gordon with Goldschmidt right behind him. They were neck and neck for a while. In fact, they were pretty darn close at the start of play tonight. Goldschmidt at 341, Gordon at 338. The Marlins hopeful they get their second baseman back soon. All the reports have been positive, starting to swing the bat. Test out the strength of that thumb. Mike Dunn trying to peek in and see what's going on. Carter Capps threw an inning in yesterday's ball game. Fastball misses in. Goldschmidt walks. Fans not happy, but there's no way Dyson is.
Yeah, they're not going to come in on ball 4.
Throwing it to Goldschmidt here. MLB at Bat all season long. You get the app for all your mobile devices. Follow the Marlins, your favorite team. All kinds of cool stuff on MLB at Bat. Of course, Tommy's favorite pitch tracking widget is involved in this. Live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, all of that. Goldschmidt at first, Dyson to the plate. So Pollock's first at bat. He came in when Peralta was hit in the 6th. This is one of those ballparks, maybe not to the extent of Coors Field, where no lead seems to be safe, let alone a 2-run lead in the bottom of the 8th inning. We saw Carter Capps up and around. He threw last night. He worked a very clean inning, struck out 2. The usual Carter Capps line: an inning, no hits, and 2 strikeouts. But from watching what you've seen here, Hut, it appears as though Capps is not available.
Because this is an inning that you would have expected to see him.
Or maybe they want to stay away from him if they can. We saw Ramos with the weighted ball earlier in the evening in a shot down in the bullpen, working the ball, manipulating the arm and loosening it up. Here's a 1-2. Hit hard and down the line. Yelich over to get it, picks it up. Goldschmidt hustling, gets into third, and into second with a double is Pollock. And the Diamondbacks are set up here at second and third. And here comes Yasmani Tomas.
Certainly not the way Sam Dyson wanted to start this inning. A walk and then a double on a pitch up and in. You can have the stuff, but you have to have the location consistently at this level to get hitters out.
So it has to be either one of 2 things. Either Capps is not available or Ramos is not available. And if Ramos is not available, Capps is going to close or is being saved for the ninth. If Ramos is available, there's a real question as to why Capps, if he is available, isn't pitching. So it leads you to advance, or leads you to believe that he's not available here. That goes as a single, and advancing on the throw is Pollock. That may change.
Yeah, that's a double, I would think.
That's the initial rule. Count 0-1 to a dangerous hitter, Yasmani Tomas. Mike Dunn is ready in the bullpen. He's got a lefty and Lamb on deck. Prado has it. He's going to go home, and the throw is perfect. The tag is in time. Diamondbacks at the corners. That's not an easy throw because Prado is taken right into the line by the track of the ball.
Yeah, and he made it look easy with the throw to the plate. This is also a play that he doesn't have time to maybe give himself a couple of shuffle steps one way or the other to get a good angle to the plate. He doesn't have time to do that. So a nice play by Martin Prado.
Dan Jennings on his way out. And a West Kendall Toyota call to the bullpen. Diamondbacks at the corners and down 2 in the 8th. And Mike Dunn is in. Jake Lamb is the hitter, the left-handed hitting third baseman.
You still have that double play set up with the play that Prado made. Runners at first and third now, with Dunn getting ready to work to Lamb.
So it's Lamb against Dunn. Infield looking for 2. And a breaking ball for a strike opens the at bat.
That's such a good pitch because it doesn't have to be a great slider for strike 1, but it's not a pitch Lamb's looking for on the first pitch.
And he gets him on the second pitch.
Another slider. That time he got him to chase it.
Arizona just 1-38 and trailing after 7. You see the Marlins have just 1 win.
You miss with that fastball. See if he comes back and tries to get him to chase that slider again.
That amazing name at the top of that list. The Mets have yet to come back from a 7th inning deficit, and yet they're challenging for the top spot in the East. 3 games back with that bullpen meltdown loss today against the Nationals. That's strike 3 called. Dunn punches out Jake Lamb.
Jake Lamb may have been thinking he may come back with that slider, and all of a sudden Mike Dunn just painted a fastball beauty on the outside corner.
Now Pennington, the switch hitting shortstop, and a breaking ball for a strike. So 2 outs. The nice play by Prado, and the strikeout of Lamb. And Dunn trying to get Pennington. You don't have great speed at first with Yasmani Tomas, and it's Pollock who remains at third. Marlins trying to save a game on the road for Jose Fernandez, who struck out 11 in his 7 innings of work. That's a strike. 1-2.
Right now, Mike Dunn has come on with the terrific location. Slider and fastball he's put right where he wants to.
Brian Morris is ready. You've got Oscar Hernandez, the young catcher, on deck. 1-2.
Oh, good reactions by JT Realmuto. He set up one place, pitches way outside, set up inside, and has to react to a fastball, and he made the grab.
Mid-90s fastball.
Yeah.
Look how far out it is. Count 2-2. Now it's full. The Diamondbacks had second and third and nobody out. At the corners with 2 outs. 3-2. It's in. And he lost him. And so Pennington walks. Now you've got Hernandez. Remember the very start of the night as you see Dan Jennings on his way out. Wellington Castillo with tightness in a hamstring was a late scratch. Castillo is still available, but there's certainly if he's got a hamstring issue, you wouldn't think they would bring him into a ball game at this point. And so it'll probably be the young catcher against Brian Morris, who will emerge shortly from Miami's bullpen. Marlins trying to piece together this 8th inning. West Kendall Toyota called to the pen. No TV tomorrow night, but we'll be there on Friday, on Saturday, and on Sunday. The Padres, the new look Padres. For how much longer will they be the new look Padres? Marlins close out the trip with 4 at beautiful Petco Park. And they'll try to arrive there having won a series. To do that, they need 4 more outs. And for Brian Morris, the immediacy is upon him. And that is bags loaded, 2 outs. And a 2-run lead. And young Oscar Hernandez, the 22-year-old catcher out of Venezuela, a Rule 5 draft pick who'd never played above Single-A until this year. And right now, Morris falls behind him 1-0. He's struck out twice and walked.
These are those games that when you read that managerial manual, you don't write it up this way. It doesn't look that way. To get through the 8th inning, you shouldn't have to use 3 pitchers. And unfortunately, that's been the situation here.
There's a strike. Hernandez looks back, shakes his head. But it's a strike. It had the plate, and it was at the letters. Infield is deep. Outfield swung towards right center. 1-1. Breaking ball fouled. And Morris is at 1-2. Now Hernandez known for his defense. This is a guy that threw out over 41% of all base stealers in his minor league career. Coming up in the Rays organization. A career 275 hitter in the minors. His 7th plate appearance in the major leagues. And a 1-2 pitch coming his way.
Yeah, we know that Brian Morris has that terrific slider. He's going to stay fastball slider to try to get Oscar Hernandez.
Two. He got him. Brian Morris finishes Oscar Hernandez, finishes the Diamondbacks in the 8th as Arizona leaves them loaded. Jose on that front rail. It took 3 relievers to do it, but the Marlins get through the 8th and hold on to a 5-3 lead.
A 5-3 lead over Arizona. Be sure to keep it here for after the game. I will be hosting our Marlins Live postgame show brought to you by Checkers. We're going to take a look at Jose Fernandez's dominant start tonight. 11 strikeouts on the night. Also, in addition to breaking down tonight's game, I'll get you ready for the series against San Diego. We will also hear from Tom Kohler. He will make the start tomorrow. That is all coming up tonight on our Marlins Live postgame show brought to you by Checkers. Guys.
All right, thank you, Jessica. That's coming up. Marlins are hopeful that it's a win that Jessica has a chance to talk about. Marlins headed to San Diego tomorrow night, but still some business to take care of here. An inning left in Phoenix, and a strike to Cole Gillespie. Denny Echeverria. Miguel Rojas in that 9 spot is due up third. There's a breaking ball from Hernandez. That one popped up. It's going to send Goldschmidt into foul territory. If you are a scout and you're here to see you're advancing either the Diamondbacks or the Marlins, there's a good look at Scouts Row. This is your dream because you get to see everybody.
You're seeing everybody out of the bullpen.
Absolutely.
You're seeing everybody off the bench.
You're able to write a report on just about everybody. And by the way, it was A.J. Ramos down in the pen warming up. So A.J. Ramos getting loose. Here is Echeverria.
As you look to the Diamondbacks' 9th inning, they have the 9th spot. Hill hitting in that spot. Then back to the top of the order, but the second hitter is the pitcher spot. So it'll be interesting to see what Chip Hill does there.
Well, Chip Hale was a pretty good pinch hitter in his day, coming into the big leagues with the Minnesota Twins.
As we talked about Wellington Castillo, don't know if he's able to swing the bat.
We saw Ruby De La Rosa the other night swing it pretty well. Didn't they used to have Micah Owings here?
They did. He was a real good hitter.
Or even Dan Herron back in the day. As Marlin fans know, he can swing it. 2-2. Edge, a little dribbler up the line. It takes a left turn and hooks foul.
Only a couple of other games going on.
Well, a short start with Robbie Ray. He had the ejection of Dominic Leone. The bullpen has had to work especially hard. And to do that as a National League manager, you've got to pinch hit, double switch, move guys around. And especially if you've got a catcher that is banged up. That is even more complicated when a banged up catcher is the last guy on your bench. Etch sends it up the middle. Pennington just got him. And so there are 2 outs. And here is Rojas. His first at bat.
Yeah, Rojas came in when Dan Jennings made some defensive changes, brought him into second, moved Prado over to third. Casey McGee went over to play first base.
Oh, and 1 to Rojas. So AJ Ramos is ready. And it will be Ramos who comes in to pitch the bottom of the 9th. As Tommy pointed out, you've got 9-1-2, but the pitcher's in the 2 spot. Breaking ball misses in. Rojas familiar with this ballpark as a member of the Dodgers last year. Hits it hard and into left center field. Boy, he's had some pretty good swings, and that one's going to scoot all the way shy of the track. And Ciarte picks it up, and Rojas has got a double.
Rojas came into the game last night and picked up a base hit.
So a double, and here is Ichiro. Ichiro drove in a run with a triple in the 5th. It's our Warren Henry drive of the game. Jose scored from first base, and Ichiro, who doesn't have a double this year, but has 3 triples, go figure that, is up now.
So the Marlins have 7 hits, 5 doubles, a triple, and a single.
Oscar Hernandez and David Hernandez. All they need is Chuck to go out there for a visit. Chuck's been plenty busy himself tonight. Marlins used 3 relievers, each getting an out in the 8th inning. Fastball starts the at bat. It's 1-0. Ichiro 2 hits shy of 2,900. He's going to get a 2-0 pitch here. Do you know how many hundreds of thousands of kids in Japan over the last 15-20 years have started their at bat with that right hand out and the bat pointing out? Even some of the guys that have come over to play here in the big leagues have that distinct preparation. They may not have the exact swing in terms of all the movement and all of that, but that iconic look.
Little tug at the shoulder, the sleeve.
Two balls, two strikes.
It's a routine. Where's the tug? Hernandez was taking too much time. And now he goes back to the routine. There it is.
Breaking ball, he fouls it back to the screen. It would be a nice insurance run to get. Rojas out at second base. 2-2 to Miami's right fielder, the 41-year-old Ichiro.
His preparation is impeccable.
Both at the plate and in the field. And he lines it back to the mound. Hernandez gets it. The inning is over. A.J. Ramos is coming in with a 2-run lead to protect in Arizona. The Honda dealers by Florida Coast Equipment, Florida's largest Kubota dealer. Visit us at FloridaCoastEQ.com and by Coral Springs Auto Mall. Across the street from the Coral Square Mall, we make it easy. Chase Field all lit up in Phoenix tonight. And the Marlins 3 outs away from a win, a series win, and a road win for Jose Fernandez. A.J. Ramos takes over. It was certainly a relay race to get through the 8th with Sam Dyson, Mike Dunn, and Brian Morris all getting it out. But here is Ramos. And we'll see how the Diamondbacks play this. They have their pitcher due up third, and as we've talked about, the question as to whether Wellington Castillo can swing it. But first, it's Aaron Hill. Ender Inciarte is second. Hill walked back in the 7th inning.
I think it was good to see AJ come in the ball game last night and pick up the save.
Yeah, Ramos finished the deal. Well, there's Castillo.
It's like he has bat and helmet ready.
Cliff Pennington is the emergency catcher. And for the Diamondbacks, the fact that he's still in the ball game means they could be a little creative if Castillo and that hamstring are not sound enough to actually catch. The 2-1. Ramos misses down low. So Ramos, who closed yesterday and of course had the bad finish on Sunday with the home run by Jeff Francoeur, a 2-run walk-off shot and an 8-7 Phillies win. 3-1 coming. And Hill goes after it and fouls it back.
Now AJ got through the inning last night, gave up just a single to David Peralta.
Three-2. Aaron Hill, one of the many LSU Tigers that has gone on to the big leagues. And he lost him. Ramos walks Hill. And here comes Inciarte. Nothing has come easy tonight for the Marlins bullpen.
Well, if you look at the last 3 innings, even the last inning that Jose pitched, that was not an easy inning. Remember, with 2 out, he walked a couple, gave up the RBI double to Inciarte.
The last 2+ innings, 5 walks.
You look back at that inning, Rich, and maybe because we didn't see Carter Capps, if he's not available, maybe that's exactly why Dan Jennings was doing everything possible to get Jose through that 7th inning.
A liner into right. That's a base hit. Ichiro picks it up. Holding second is Hill. And Castillo is going to hit. And now you're getting into the real trouble spot in Arizona's lineup. You've got Paul Goldschmidt, the All-Star A.J. Pollock, Yasmani Tomas. They all follow this at-bat by Wellington Castillo.
Now on the positive side, you can look at it this way with Castillo, who didn't start this game because of soreness in the hamstring. If he hits a ground ball, get a good chance to turn a double play.
Chuck Hernandez trying to coax 3 outs from A.J. Ramos here. There's Goldschmidt, and that's certainly the best that Arizona has, and one of the best in all of baseball.
Saw Chuck today having lunch with a longtime friend of his, a guy that they coached together in the Angels system. Great second baseman, Bobby Knopp.
Wellington Castillo. Will he bunt?
Now, I think if you were going to bunt, you wouldn't waste Castillo. You just send up a pitcher.
Good point. 0 for 2, 2 punch outs against Ramos. Castillo last night an 0 for 3, and he was 0 for 4 on Monday night. Well, McGee and Prado are still inside the bag on each corner. And Castillo fouls it off. Tenderness in the hamstring. A late scratch was Castillo. Ramos ready. 0-2 coming. Ooh. And Castillo swings and then buckles over.
And you know that hamstring felt that.
And that's the danger here, that they could lose Wellington Castillo for a period of time if he further injures that hamstring. And he's really the... I mean, you're talking about a Rule 5 draft pick making a second start in his place tonight because he couldn't go. 0-2. Real Muto had to smother it. It's 1-2.
You know, by getting ahead, AJ has the opportunity to make a pitch, to get Castillo to roll over, maybe hit that double play ground ball. Because there's no way he's going to get up the line quickly.
Into left. It's a base hit. Yelich has it. The bags are loaded for Goldschmidt.
On the other hand, if you don't make that pitch, which AJ didn't, he hung a breaking ball. Wellington Castillo took advantage of it.
The Diamondbacks are going to run for Castillo. Well, amazing. And you can see Castillo looking like Kirk Gibson on his way up the line, the former manager of the Diamondbacks. So A.J. Ramos and Paul Goldschmidt meet with the bags loaded and nobody out, and with runners in scoring position, there's nobody better in the National League. Goldschmidt already with 2 hits tonight. He leads the National League in hitting at 344.
So Jeremy Hellickson, the pinch runner for Castillo.
First pitch. Goldschmidt takes a breaking ball for a strike. Marlins on the rail. They've led throughout, but right now the bag's loaded and Ramos misses.
And right now A.J. Ramos does not look sharp.
As we noted, Carter Capps did not warm up, did not pitch the 8th.
And our assumption, because he didn't pitch the eighth inning, is he's not available.
One. Well, that's quite a pitch.
Well, I think this was the changeup.
It was.
Really had Goldschmidt fooled. Remember, Jose struck him out on a changeup.
One, two. Got him! Looking. Breaking ball. Goldschmidt goes down. Boy, the guts to throw the changeup and then come back with that sweeping breaking ball.
Probably the 2 best pitches that he's thrown back to back in this inning. The best hitter in the league, freezes him, made some great pitches, to Goldschmidt.
Well, he still has 2 quality bats to get. The other Diamondback All-Star, A.J. Pollock, who doubled in the 8th.
And a tough man to double up, too.
Yes, very fast. But he got speed at second with Inciarte. That's the tying run. Hill is the runner at third. As Tommy pointed out, it's Hellickson who is pinch running at first. Hellickson is the winning run. Oh, 1. Oh, he swung and missed. That looked like a changeup.
Well, when you have a good changeup, it's effective. That's a great job by JT also to just get down and keep that ball in front of him. But a right-hander to a right-hander, he just doesn't see that often. And his first reaction is fastball. His first thought is, here comes fastball.
0-2 to Pollock. Another change.
Right now, he has a feel for that, and that's a pitch that he feels comfortable with. I think JT's going out there to say, we got to mix a couple of other things in. We can't just stay with the changeup.
And 2. 1 out, bags loaded, bottom 9. Ramos trying to protect a 2-run lead. He walked Hill to start the inning. Inciarte singled on 1 leg. Wellington Castillo singled. But a strikeout of Goldschmidt. 0-2 on Pollock. And he got him. A.J. Ramos has struck out Paul Goldschmidt and A.J. Pollock with 2 All-Stars for the Diamondbacks, and now needs 1 more out to finish this ball game.
After the chat with JT Realmuto, they decided to go with the slider. And the slider was also enjoyed by Jose Fernandez.
Another quality bat, another 300 hitter to get. Is Manny Tomas. The sturdy Cuban. It's 1-0. Tomas has the power to end it. He's 1 for 4. He struck out in the 6th. His RBI single was in the 4th. 2 down. That's a strike.
Yeah, Tomas was hot in the month of May. You see his rankings amongst National League rookies. Tomas had 31 hits in May. That was a Diamondbacks rookie record.
One. Did he go? Yes. Brian Knight at first base. Well, it's close. One and 2. A strike away is Ramos. After loading him up with nobody out. And he gets him. He strikes out Tomas.
What a comeback by A.J. Ramos.
Goldschmidt, Pollock, Tomas. Ramos strikes all 3 out with the bags loaded and the game on the line. And the Marlins win it. Jose Fernandez wins it. And A.J. Ramos saves it. And I guess that's the definition of a save. He saved himself.
That's a working man save.
And his ball club. And the Marlins win the ball game and win the series and head to San Diego for a 4-game set with the Padres. AJ Ramos will be our guest on Marlins Live with Jessica Blaylock when we return to Phoenix.